thank you for joining me. It's early-ish.
Yeah, sure.
For you. It's 1 hour earlier. I always forget because Chicago is so close. But
I know it's kind of silly, but basically when I drive across the border into Indiana, it goes up an hour. It's really weird.
Yeah.
So how are you?
Good. I may be driving through Chicago this weekend.
Oh yeah?
Back and forth. I have a friend. My friend Edundo lives there. It's not, what is the neighborhood called? It's either Irving Park. Is that a neighborhood?
That's where I live.
Oh, that's where my friend Edundo lives. He used to have his sister bought an apartment a few years ago close to the Obama library, the new Obama library, and there's like a church and community garden there, and I forget the name of it. And then I think she moved again to Hyde Park.
Okay.
So I'm just saying neighborhood names. I don't know where these are.
So the Obama library is in Hyde Park. That's on the south side. That's kind of near University of Chicago. It's beautiful down there.
Okay. Yeah, well, then it's probably there. And then he got a studio apartment because who wants to live with their big sister forever? And then I have another friend who's interested in buying, like a first home buyer. So I've been like giving her advice to avoid the mistakes that I made. But she's visited Chicago a few times in the past, so she really like had her heart set on it, moving there and house hacking. And I've heard people say Chicago is the best city in the US for living in the summertime in terms of free stuff to do outside. Like apparently the city has a lot of, maybe you can confirm, they have a lot of free programming and planning for like residents.
Yeah, street festivals. Yeah, it's like the winters are so harsh that we just kind of cut loose in the summer. Yeah. Yes, that is true. Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
Oh, good.
I didn't want to interrupt. I just wanted to hear whatever good stuff you were saying.
Just talking about Chicago stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
We're still giving Phil a hard time for not bringing us deep dish last time. So
well, you've got your own, and it's arguably better. So I don't know.
It's pretty good. I like square.
Yeah,
square pizza, brick cheese.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I definitely like it too.
You like the Detroit pizza?
I mean, I like all pizza, man. But yeah, for sure. And if you're talking about Little Caesars being Detroit pizza, no. But other than that, yes.
Yeah, there's Little Caesars in Detroit, but I take your meaning.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to reboot my computer so I can join from not my phone.
Okay.
But yeah, thanks everyone for joining us for short notice. I know I'm still working on a contract with Phil, and also including the performance bonus, the energy efficiency consideration for the fee. So including that for both Phil and Mike. So I'm working with a small business lawyer who specializes in creative work. So it's just to make things clear for all of us, nothing to be concerned about. And he'll be available as a resource for you too, answering your questions, but hopefully we'll get all the contracts that that we want and need signed soon. But I appreciate everyone proceeding with work anyway, before that may be finished. So Phil, why don't you take it over and show us the floor plans that you were talking about? And
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that. I'll do a screen share. So I'm still working on the Revit model and getting all the measurements I took kind of into it from last week. But I thought in the meantime, I like to start with like just hand sketching to kind of do big picture layout kind of things. And so I'm focusing on I think it's the best way to do it. Looks like I can't share.
That's my bad. I am enabling it.
Oh, okay.
Again, please.
Okay, let me find it.
I apologize. I have my video off because I'm painting and you guys would be staring at, I don't know, my legs because I'm on a ladder right now.
That's okay.
Okay, I was gonna say I like to see painting, but if it's your legs, you know, no offense, I'm passing it.
Yeah, I'm just, so we put some windowsills in the basement and they wanted to paint the whole inside the window. So I'm painting the sills and the inside part of the window so it all looks, you know, nice or whatever.
Yeah, well, I
Sorry,
love
guys.
seeing
Nothing
seeing
amazing.
pictures of work. No, I love seeing pictures of work. So if you don't mind sharing it, I know, and also I don't mind if you share pictures of work at the house on Northwestern Street. I'm pretty open about it. So if you guys want to use it for your portfolio, show it to other clients, I'm totally happy to do that.
Yeah, so there's a couple things I did want to talk to you about also, and Phil, there may be some synergy for you in these discussions as well. So I've got a partner I told you about, Paul, his name is Stuart. And Stuart and I have been trying to do this. I guess disaster relief and also low-income housing. So that being said, we're working on those products that I told you about. We are going to buy a property. We are also now working with a pastor in Detroit that owns tons of properties. This guy's like legitimate, like real good dude. And we're trying to get this other program for teen moms with babies. You know, like set them up in life with, teach them skills, good project, good job. And they're talking about the types of skills we're talking about is like construction. There's a lot to this, but anyway, a couple things to share with you is he also has a organization. It's a nonprofit, obviously, because he's a church, and he has an agreement with the land bank, and he gets houses from Detroit, like pretty cheap. He owns, like I said, a lot. He owns some commercial stuff too. So that being said, he there's about $45,000 that a first-time home buyer can get in the city of Detroit that I wanted you to be aware of, Paul, because you were talking about you have a relationship with land bank and all these other kind of things. And I heard you say about somebody trying to buy a first-time home buyer. I think that was in Chicago, but these are in Detroit. So if you know anybody or anything on this stuff that you're doing, these programs are not like announced to everybody. And he's working with like a lot of different banks and municipalities. So if that is something that you're interested in finding more about, I would just definitely connect you and get you the information, Paul. But also some of the other stuff, we're talking about building a community. I have a certain way I want to do it in a setup where it's 2 buildings on one property. They're both dwellings, and one rents the property, the smaller property, to a renter, and then they gain that revenue to curb the cost of their house, so they could afford a house that's worth probably double what they could actually afford because they have the rental
like
income.
house hacking.
Yeah. So we're going to build a village. Like, this is what we're planning on doing. And he's got the property. We're just working on it right now. So we're going to be building our first one. We have funding. We're ready to go. So if anything comes out of this way we're expecting, we're talking about geothermal also. So I would think there'd be some room for you in discussions with that, Phil, in that arena as well. But Paul, I would think that some of these things are going to coincide with what you want to do. So I don't know if there's like, we don't necessarily need another person to come in and help with what we're doing, but there could be, good opportunities for us to work with each other in some way, or at least share information. So I just wanted you to be aware of that also, to keep kind of in the back of your mind. So if you come across something, you can ask me, and I'd be more than happy to introduce you to guys.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It sounds like a lot of good projects, and yeah, I definitely want to make progress on this house so that when we come to the pastor you mentioned or any other project, we're also seen as like legitimate contributors, not just people talking big plans. So yeah, we'll keep them in mind for the future. There's ways we could share resources, or even like bargain. I mean, like potentially the goal is to have people who want to renovate houses to be able to group together to give more steady work to contractors, and then also to be able to bargain back from the side of the homeowners, which is not something that homeowners normally do. You know, they sort of like the developer develops it and then the homeowner like takes it or leaves it for the market. So
Yeah.
yeah,
There is a project called Project Noah that is the one with the teen moms, and
Mhm.
it could be a possibility that your project can be worked on by them, and there could be some subsidies too for you. So let us see how that kind of works out, and then definitely if you think that there's any opportunity in that respect, I'll definitely connect you guys. Just so you know, with this Project Noah, he put out a social media post asking, he's got like 17 girls and he want to get 20 in the program. So he asked for anybody who was interested. And people started sharing it on social media. One lady took like a screenshot and sent it to some people or put it on her Facebook or whatever it was. And what happened was the screenshot somehow had a logo of Fifth Third Bank, I think it was, or not Fifth Third, not one of the other banks. It starts with an H, Huntington Bank, and it just happened to be on there. It had no correlation, so they put it out there. He had over 21,000 responses to that. People looking for these young teen moms with babies looking for this project to get a job and on their feet and all this stuff. So it's like a training program. They all responded within like 4 hours, all across the United States. And so he is working with Huntington Bank and they want to give him money for his project. So Huntington Bank called him and said, hey, why are these people coming to our locations and asking about your project in other states? He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And it was because of that social media jump. So there's a huge need for this, not just here locally, even though it's huge locally. So, I don't know if that knowledge helps you in any way down the road, thinking about what you want to do, Paul, but just kind of throwing that out there. And I don't know the people that you know, Phil, so maybe that there's a connection there with somebody too.
Yeah, well, I'll look into Project Noah. It seems like a definitely interesting project. Seems much needed. I'm probably focused on this house that we're working on now being a house for other home renovators. Like, let me close the door. People moving to Detroit to work on houses, probably land bank houses. So that's the image I have in my mind, but there will be future houses. And I know there are lots of important causes out there. Thanks for bringing it up. Phil, we'll let you take it over. I know we have limited time, so I want to definitely talk about your sketches.
Okay. Yeah, that's a cool project, Mike. That getting my wheels spinning. I have some ideas about it, but we probably should focus on this for a minute.
Yeah, for sure.
So I figured most of the work is happening in the basement and the first floor. I know we're going to do second floor and attic as well, but so I wanted to focus on these two first. So this is a hand sketch of the basement, a possible basement layout. I think it meets all the kind of programming needs we were talking about. It's got a little kitchen with a little, I don't know, maybe it's a kitchenette or maybe it's like a little 2-burner range. I put a full bath in, so I just figured if someone's going to live down there, you're going to need a shower. I couldn't remember if it was a half bath or full bath, but I just went full. And then a pretty good size, a pretty good size bedroom in the top left corner. That's like the kind of the northwest, and a mechanical utility space kind of over here where the existing gas meter and boiler and water heaters are. So it's kind of laid out almost like a studio apartment with a larger space here in the middle, and then a full bedroom off to the side there. And since it is treated as a separate unit, it has its own entry door at the bottom. So basically, like the people who live upstairs and the people in the basement share that stair, kind of like we discussed. And then so the actual apartment starts right here is the idea. And I'm showing kind of these thickened walls. I'm showing, like a furred out wall, probably with spray foam on the inside of the brick is the idea there. Yeah, and the only other kind of design consideration down there that will have to be cognizant of is head height and also where this beam and where the columns lay, because those are, you know, the columns do get in the way a little bit. We'll kind of have to dance around them a little bit.
We might be able to move them too. I don't know. We'd have to kind of look at that if that's something we needed to think about. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we're probably going to have to fix them anyway.
Okay.
So I would think we're going to tear what's around them down and look at them, but we may replace them. So there's a possibility of moving them depending on how that beam is, or, you know, maybe that's a point where we say, you know, all right, let's replace the beam with something different. I mean, I don't know. Well, maybe we don't do that because that can get kind of expensive.
Mhm.
But you know, that's a possibility of having to do something there. So don't cancel something out because of that. Keep those thoughts on the table, please, because I think it would
The
limit
columns
the
can
design.
move.
It's possible. I have to look at it.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. I mean, there's 3 columns. I'd love to get rid of 2 of them. Or I don't know.
Yeah, the
That's
only
crazy.
problem is the beam itself that's there, maybe sectioned up, and I kind of think it was in some spots where we can't, but we could always replace it or put, you know, like some kind of something else there. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'd have to just look at it.
Okay. Yeah, we can think about that.
Don't limit your design necessarily. I did have one design question though. Is it necessary to wall off the bedroom? It may be
maybe
okay
not.
to just leave it open. I don't know. I just did a basement that we're working on, and I have a wall that is like, I don't know. He wanted it completely open. I said, you need to cut off the wall halfway, or else you're going to have light from somebody in the kitchen, or, you know, if, you know, somebody, you know, whatever, you're going to have more noise. So it's more of a noise restriction. And it's an angled wall. It only comes like, I don't know, covers half of that wall of that, where that wall would be. Normally it only just covers half of that space. So I don't, not saying you can't have a wall there. I'm just saying, is that an option too? I don't know for this. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Paul? Do you think, is there a world where 2 people live down here and someone's loud and part of the space? And
I meant like maybe, you know, like 2 people that are living together and sharing the bedroom. Just one person has to get up early for work or something. Is all I'm thinking.
Yeah, I was thinking of it as a single unit. So whoever lives down here, you know, they could be a couple, they could be a family. I hope it's not a family. It'd be quite tight for anyone with small kids. But yeah, it's whoever is comfortable sharing the space. So I'm open to the open wall plan, but I also like having privacy. Like, you know, right now the basement is not much to look at. So if you could close the door and didn't have to be distracted by everything else, but still had natural sunlight, I'm open to it either way. I can see it being a cool studio apartment, like, you know, you would see on the top floor of these repurposed factory buildings or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but
not discouraging the I like it. Just throwing an idea out there. This is something somebody else wanted, and we tried it, and it's actually kind of cool.
It's a good thought.
Yeah, I'm open to it either way. I'll be using basically this sketch to come up with like a budget, but definitely if this is enough to come up with a budget, yeah, definitely feedback from you guys. We can agree, because I'll be asking to Phil to sort of add or remove features based on like if the cost is going to become over. So something I owe for you guys is like how I want to break up the cost, which is like essentially another $150,000. How I want to break it apart across all these projects, because that will determine if I ask for design changes so we can meet that budget, if that makes sense. So down here, I guess I see the existing boiler and water heater. It's good to wall that off. And I guess, is there a laundry down here? Is there a washer and dryer?
No, I mean, I've got kind of a large closet here that I'm calling a linen closet. Possible to put laundry there. Actually, there's a lot of different places we could put laundry. Even the
you know what I was thinking too is you do the stackable units, and you can make the pantry type closet where the utilities are a little bit larger to incorporate that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I've seen it. I saw it in a house like that, and it was really, really strange because it was in the kitchen. It was really strange, but it was a house, not a studio apartment. So people do weird stuff.
The washer dryer. Yeah, I see that. Seems like a European thing that we don't really like that much.
Yeah.
I like it. And I know, Mike, I think you were mentioning this or someone else, but the upstairs laundry would have its own.
That was me.
So whatever stackable, economy efficient, European style laundry system we come up with, we could double it up for upstairs. And I think you were saying that it would be on the second floor, like close to the bedrooms, because that's where people move their laundry to and from. And so it doesn't make sense to have to carry it all the way down.
Yeah, people don't want to have to carry it down.
Yeah, and there's no reason people do that except like it's traditionally that's where big machines. The only place big machines would go is in the basement.
Yeah.
Okay, the electrical in the corner, that's where the wiring is, and we can't change that easily. So I think that's what you planned for there.
Yeah, I'm showing a tiny little, well, I don't know, I guess like an electrical closet just so you don't have to look at the panel, or, I mean, maybe it's not that big a deal. Maybe the panel can be exposed and we keep the countertop going or something.
Yeah, if you want, you can keep the it exposed and you can just like hang a picture over it. I've done that for customers, or you make a box out of it and trim it out and it looks like a mini door. Just some other options if you're trying to maximize space.
Yeah,
I like the picture.
That's a tough one.
It's like a secret passageway, haunted house kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I was showing a little, I don't know if this could be like a bar height thing over here by the window. I don't know. I'm thinking of ways to, like, now that, I don't know, since so many people seem like they work at home, just having different places to sit. Like maybe you don't want to work at your kitchen table. You don't want to sit in your bed with a laptop. Maybe you go to this, maybe this is almost like an office area kind of in the corner, kind of an open concept version of that.
Absolutely. I love the idea. Yeah. Especially if there's a window there, not like facing a brick wall only, but if that's a window we can open up, then for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
I was going to say too, where the utilities are, that corner by that window, that's a lot of dead space. Just because where those units are. I was wondering maybe take the closet out of the room and push it back into that space, and that's the closet.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's a good idea.
That is a great idea.
Just to maximize space, because I've been really thinking about how the heck are we going to build this thing out to make it so it's super usable and not like like kind of just how they had it walled off like that, and then all these crazy little corners. Like, what do you do with those? So I do like the kitchen area. That's cool. That countertop over there is awesome. I do a lot of really cool countertops, not just the material I use, but I mean like the layout. I do a lot of really cool stuff for people because it's like a funky house when we rehabbed it. And I'm like, hey, why don't we just put a bar top here? They're like, for what? I'm like, because you could just sit here. And then I do it and they're like, this is my favorite thing of the kitchen. So I'm all about countertops in all kinds of places. And you can make different materials too. One could be a butcher block, one could be granite, one could be, whatever.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, it could be a really nice space down here if we're doing some of the floor tiling we talked about last week. Then all of a sudden you've got painted drywall all around, a more finished look, lots of windows, pretty good size windows too.
One thing about the floor, you just mentioned that, I wanted to say this. What about epoxy floors? You can do some really cool designs. I'm having one go in that basement that I just told you about, that half wall. Just because the floor is so undulated and uneven, it's going to be very hard. I'd have to do glue down. Because I can't run like a LVT. It's just not going to work. So we just decided to go with finished concrete with an epoxy. Yeah.
So you would pour it, if I understand you correctly, onto the concrete subfloor that's there.
Yeah. So the concrete levels the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's a little cold on that floor, but you just throw some throw rugs, wear some slippers.
Yeah, I'm open to it. I know you mentioned there's some drainage concerns because it's a basement floor and it's, I guess, designed to have like excess water to be able to run. So maybe you leave channels, you pour over some channels or something. And then also you mentioned this warm bore, this really great radiant floor idea, which I think is
Yeah.
great. So I've been walking on these like cold tile floors here all winter, and I don't mind it so much, but like renters and guests definitely bring it up to me. And then I don't want people to think they're like trapped in a castle or a jail or something. So if we can heat up the floor, if there's a way to use radiant floor heating with the epoxy on top of it, then I'm all for it. Interesting new flooring ideas. Yeah, it sounds good to me.
I'm not really sure how that would work to get heat underneath it. If it's already, your basement, we'd have to put something on top. And the warm board might be a good way, but if the floor's not level enough, we'll have to see once we clean that place out, really. That's gonna be the biggest question there.
Okay, so maybe some engineering needed, like we have to use self-leveling, something self-leveling. It could be epoxy on top of the subfloor, maybe with drainage channels, and then warm board on top of that. And so cutting into the head height a little bit. And yeah, I mean, these are all good ideas to work around.
Yeah, and I can share a company that we're probably going to use for this project. I found them on Facebook, and a lot of local people were using them and raving about them. It's pretty cool. They can make them look like gold swirls in a blue floor, like make it, whatever color you want, or just a one solid color. Like they can make it look like granite or something almost. It's pretty amazing the stuff they can do.
Yeah, I would love to see and use resources from elsewhere. So also to keep moving at a good pace. I know you were just talking to me about egress windows and blocking. So Phil, you saw the quote that we got from one of the brick guys. Thanks for doing that, Mike. And the parts that I'm interested in doing, I think are ready to do right away, is to unbrick the openings and re-glass block them, unbrick the doors in the back that we're going to have for the 2-story deck, and then not tuck point and not work on rebuilding the porch, but we can talk about the porch later. I guess the part of this discussion that's relevant here is that which is the best window for egress? Because I was imagining most of the window, all of the windows except one being glass block, and then one of them being an egress window, and then asking you, do you think it's better to have egress? Yeah, which window is it better to have egress out of? And you don't have to answer like on the spot, but if you have thoughts about it,
couple questions I have. Keep in mind for your design, where is the biggest window going to be in the design? That the egress has to be where you have a firefighter with an SUV back. You got to be able to get in and out. So we got to just make sure whichever one it is, that the egress is truly, capable of that. But also, like that front window's bricked up halfway, and then it's got glass block. We talked about keeping that. We could make the other ones taller too. We don't have to make them the whole entire size also. So I'm just saying for design reasons, think about that and then tell us what you want to do, and then we can adjust the estimate accordingly for that and then get the work done.
Yeah, I would say, not the bathroom, maybe the bedroom window or the kitchen window were my thoughts, just because I know they're safe or whatever, but I didn't want a fully operable window on the alley side necessarily.
I agree. That's breaking. Yeah.
But
the bedroom is the one I think is typically the best, simply because that's where you are sleeping. You wake up, you got to get out. And by code, it should be the bedroom.
Yeah, I'll check if it's big enough. If it's not, we could probably enlarge it a little bit, but it's pretty big. I feel like I want to say like 36 by 28 or something like that.
If we unbrick that one and put an egress in there, it will fit in there, because I've done one in Detroit it was not bricked up, So that size will work. They do make them that, and it's big enough. So, but I just want to make sure we pick the right one. Okay. As long as you can get to it easy. The idea is if there's a fire, you can't get up the stairs. So that's really what it's about.
Yeah, this will be a great bedroom. It's going to get even bigger once I pop this closet out over here, and I don't know, maybe we brick up this window. Is that what you're talking about? Just because it's in the utility space, or?
Well, it is bricked halfway with a light.
Is it?
You don't need
I would leave it. Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
leave it as is.
you don't need a window in your closet, but that's kind of
Yeah.
nice to have it, you know. You just, you know, nobody can see in there because it's you know, undulated slab or whatever you call it. So yeah, I think it'd be fine just to keep it like that. You don't need to make it any bigger. Like Paul was saying, why make it bigger? And I agree. If we're gonna,
Yeah.
especially if it's gonna be a closet, no, that's perfect. Gives you some light in there. You don't have to use a light necessarily. You know,
Yeah, that's
switch.
true. Could do a big walk-in closet, kind of a square shaped thing here. It'd be nice. Maybe I'll do that.
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, that's a good thought. Okay, I'm gonna move us along to the first floor.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. Sometimes we
Um,
get distracted.
So a little bit less layout scope up here, really. I mean, you can see kind of the white walls are the existing, and then the dark black is what I'm proposing, along with, I am showing a washer dryer in this closet. I know that's a really tight little closet, and we maybe want it on the second floor anyway, but that was just a thought. And then, so we have this very large foyer with, I'll kind of zoom in a little bit. There's about 3 feet, maybe a little more than 3 feet between the door jamb and the wall. So there is room for like a 30-inch wide kind of powder room.
Perfect. Yeah, I agree. I think we
It could
definitely get
feel,
that one in.
yeah, I mean, it's not going to feel, it'll feel a little tight. I mean, like you'll open the door and it'll be comfortable once you're in, I think. Or maybe it's finding that right gap between the toilet and the sink to make it comfortable. But
Yeah, you need 30 inches left to right for a toilet for code.
yeah,
Yeah.
When it's sitting in the middle of the room. So, you know, and then you got
Okay,
your
so
wall
maybe-
size. So you got
Yeah.
another, you know, let's say another 10 inches. So you need 40 inches probably.
okay, well,
And I'll measure, I have a powder room up here and it is tight, but it also is usable. And I'll measure it to see, it may be 30 inches, but I think that would work. Yeah. So it's a
But
good
the
plan.
other thing is you can, you know, if you got to turn the toilet the other way, sideways, even to get that 30 inches too. I don't know how it would lay out, work in the layout. But you got
oh, like against the stair, maybe.
yeah,
I mean,
there's options.
we could take this further out. I guess it doesn't have to like line up with the door either. That's just kind of me trying to line things up. It could pop out as far as it needs to. I mean, I do really like when we're in this space and you look up at the stairs, it is like a really good design
Yeah.
moment, kind of looking at that big open banister.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
like it too.
So
I mean,
maybe
you
there's
know,
a way where we don't kind of cram the wall against the stair. Maybe there's a little gap here, maybe it's pulled off a couple feet so we still see that open stair. I don't know.
yeah, that's right. Well, if we throw grand balls or just imagine, you know, future family make grand entrances down the staircase.
Well,
That's right. Yeah,
Got
you want to
you
be
know,
able to see.
You know, one thing I was thinking too is we're gonna redo the porch. We could move that door over and get rid of that window next to the door.
Oh, that's true. I mean, you could even use the opening that's there for the window next to it. Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So I could use that as a door, and we get a door with like some kind of glass at the top to let light in like a window would. And
Uh-huh.
then you can have plenty of space over here to put the bathroom in the corner and then a closet next to it that's shorter. And then
I
you can
like
get
that.
that grand view that you like. That
I like
when you asked me about this originally, Paul, that was going in my head. I'm like, why don't we just move this dang thing? And then, you know, because let's move the porch. So it just makes sense. You know, that is not that hard to do. And the porch, the reason why I was thinking about this so much is the porch isn't centered in the front of the house. It's off
No.
to the one side.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we could even center it more when we're doing whatever we want. The problem is it would be that overhang. So, you know, you don't have to do that as long as the porch, you know, the door is on the porch. And I think it is. The window is in there too, just fine. So it wouldn't matter, but I don't think we can really center it. So all these like thoughts came ahead. So whatever, just however, you know, maybe
Yeah.
this stuff
No,
helps.
it's a good thought.
Yeah, I love the ideas. So that I'll send you, Phil. Also, I sent this to Mike also, but Mark, a carpenter that I've used before, he's hung the cabinets and he does a good job with anything wood. He's built these decks, so as long as you give him a design with like measurements, he can build pretty amazing decks. And the front porch could be a wooden deck instead of, I think it is wood. If you take off the green,
It is wood.
Yeah, it's wood. So
It'll save you a lot of money because we were going to concrete the top of it, and that's probably like $10,000 or something right there for the concrete, the porch and the steps.
Yeah, so if you can include a porch design, and I like covering the front windows too, because that would be in some ways better insulation, because the porch would be like an airlock. And I'll ask the neighbors across the street. I should have pointed them out whenever we were all at the house, but they have a covered porch, and there's a nice older woman who sits on the porch for most seasons of the year, except like extreme winter, and she doesn't have to worry about her nice deck chairs getting stolen off her porch or something, because it's all covered, because it's covered over. It's just like a 3-season room, not a
Yeah, I saw that.
4-season
That
room.
looks pretty nice.
But yeah, continue. Sorry.
No, that's a good thought. So you're thinking about maybe enclosing this porch?
Including the windows possibly too. Like if there's a way we can have usable space, because I wouldn't say that part of the front yard is like very usable right now. I mean, it might be a nice place for dogs to run around in the future, but if we want to extend the porch to cover the front windows where the couch is right now, that's
Okay.
also a possibility. Like I want to take apart the brick porch and keep the brick if possible. I know that's hard to do, but we can rebuild the porch using other materials, definitely like a new wood deck. And if it's too hard to reuse the brick, then to come up with other designs. I've seen a design with steel grating, which is kind of like a New York City fire escape kind of look, which is cool. There are like artists in Detroit who do that, and that may be cheaper than rebuilding with brick also. And it doesn't have to be, well, yeah, I guess you were gonna stucco over all the brick for the house, so we don't have to match necessarily the yellow brick. Like if our plan is to sort of like have no trace of the yellow brick afterwards, that's like a plan that I want your feedback on, and then that would determine how we rebuild the porch.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good thought.
Yeah, and I will tell you that we build a lot of decks. So if you decide you want to do that, I can give you a ton of input on that.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, we
I have
definitely
a contract right now that we're going to be doing 24 of them this year for a complex. So I have a little experience.
Yeah. Is it Mike? Is it kind of like in Chicago? They have these porch guidelines where everything's kind of pre-sized and all your details are kind of.
Well, that because it's a condominium complex. So yeah, basically.
Do you guys do that too? Is that kind of all the posts are 2x6? Oh,
that, yeah. Well, yeah, it depends. So I mean, you could do a 4x4 depending on the size of the deck. But
yeah,
I usually like to build mine a little more heavy duty bomb proof, because I don't want to have a problem.
yeah,
and I don't want to come back to fix something. So I've built all different kinds, but normally I go with bigger beams if possible. Just depending on the application. On this one, they want to stay really low on the cost because it's the HOA and everybody's forced to do it. So we're trying to cut costs, so we're using smaller materials. It's not going to be what we would normally do. But that's how the decks are built currently, and they've lasted 20 years or whatever they're have to do new ones. But I do have design ideas. I do a lot of decks, and I love carpentry. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them and kind of sit through that process with you. Just let me know.
Okay.
Yeah. We do also need a structural engineer to sign off on any design. So either to come up with the design that is, will stand up under human weight and be up to code, and to sign off, because I think we need a signature of a licensed structural engineer for professional liability. And if you can provide that, Mike, or someone who's doing that for your own decks, we would need that for the front porch and then also the back 2-story deck too.
Yep, I've got a couple structural engineers that we can call. It's no problem.
Okay.
Cool. That's great. All right, let me keep going here. Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of finish changes happening here, but not a lot of walls moving around the way we have it currently. And then I started to show something in the back here for this back porch. I might even make it a little bigger than what I'm showing. The way I'm picturing it is kind of having the garden part be around the perimeter, both because it needs sun, and that's just like a nice way to do decks. It's kind of a natural buffer between the edge and railing and where people fall, frankly. So I was thinking, plant like rows of planters around the whole deck, and then or like maybe a breakfast nook or some way to use that space and eat outside or have your coffee outside was the thought.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So I did another Detroit house a couple of years ago, and we enclosed the upper, and the lower was like a breezeway kind of thing, and then we used like put like a garden on one wall, like a hanging herb garden for the
Oh,
customer.
very good. You mean
So
deck or something else?
on the back, so on the back deck, so
Okay.
we enclosed the upper because it was off of a bedroom, and then they had like a four-season room, above the porch downstairs. So it was a covered porch. But instead of covering it in, they wanted it to be open. They wanted one wall of privacy. So we built like a hanging herb garden for them.
That sounds, yeah, ideal. That sounds gorgeous. Yeah, if you have pictures that you're able to share or designs, I mean, even the idea of mentioning now is appreciated. So
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, things climbing up the sides or maybe these planter boxes are more like a series of shelves that you can grow things on by the window. Anyway, it'd be a really cool space, and you get a lot of morning light too on this side. I think you'd be kind of this, yeah, kind of eastern southeastern light.
yeah,
Um,
100%. And then also to think of it as a 3-season porch or like an airlock to provide even more envelope protection or draft
Yeah.
resistant for the back windows.
Yeah.
And
If we do the idea where we clad it in some kind of polycarbonate, it could be a nice way to, I don't know, it's almost like those old passive solar homes where you're heating up this space, and then if you wanted to let some heat in, you could open a door or a window and get this kind of preheated air flowing back into your house, the way they used to do passive solar homes in the 70s.
Yeah.
yeah, if there's a way you can make it look nice, then that's appreciated too. I know when people think about those things or polycarbonate, they're not always thinking they're thinking of like farm buildings and yeah.
I did that on a roof. They have those polycarbonate, like the metal roof, but it's the polycarbonate, and they have different
Yeah.
colors, and they also have tinted.
Oh,
So yeah, I did that that's at my house as my pergola top, but I'm going to take it off and put tin on there. We're trying to change our mind, and it's right off my room.
Was it the corrugated stuff, Mike?
Yes, yes.
I really like.
It'll be like a magnifying glass.
Yeah, I like that stuff. It looks really cool. It'll like might have like a green glow at night on the outside.
Green, it could have blue, and then tinted and like crystal clear. I did the crystal clear. You've seen those like fiberglass opaque panels that they would use on pole barns for windows? Have you ever seen that?
No.
Yeah, so they would do that just to get something in there. So what I did with the for the customer is I took all those out and threw them away because they were fiberglass. They're like white fiberglass. And then I put those crystal clear ones in there, and it's amazing in there. It looks so good. I painted the outside like a dark green and white and black trim on it. It came out really nice. But those crystal clear ones are really nice. But you can't do that overhead if you're underneath it because, like I said, it'll bake you. It's like a magnifying glass. And I just built like a pergola, and it's on top of the pergola. But now it's like what, 6 years old now. It's getting pretty dirty, and it's hard to clean it because I live by the wetlands, so it stays pretty like, mildew, moldy, peat moss everywhere kind of thing. So it's kind of hard to keep it dry.
That's interesting. I like those materials on the walls. I didn't think about them on the roof. I don't know if that's too much sun but it could be it could make it look really cool if it was.
Yeah, that's why I did the tinted ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I built a house I was part of this house building workshop on a farm in Missouri, and I'll show you pictures, but it's an open source house, but they also use this corrugated polycarbonate that I think is what you're mentioning.
Yeah, exactly.
On their porch, and they ran a hillbilly heater, like this black tubing where they heated water. They pumped it up to the roof, and we don't have to go that far, although that's a cool idea to think about. maybe it's too much heat in the summer, like you were mentioning, but also I think that's as much heat energy as we can get is fine. But I'll send pictures just in case it gives us ideas.
All right, good.
Yeah. Do we want to move on to the dining room or the rest of the house? And I guess like all Mike and Phil are here. If there's more that you need Mike to give a construction quote, like if you want more details about the walls, for example, I know that one thing that I'm really interested in, although I can be talked out of it, is ducted heat recovery for ventilation in the walls. And I know Phil wanted a separate HVAC engineer to size it, which I'm totally fine with, Mike. So if you know people who do HVAC and can like help size the ducts, and then I guess that will go into the walls, like how much we can build out the walls and how we finish them. They're definitely going to get demoed. And well, I guess I should say definitely, but I know Phil, you mentioned before that we might want to avoid demoing them into reusing the existing plaster walls. Can you say more about that? Because I'm open to either way. I just right now I was planning on removing all of them.
It's it's something to think about. I mean, it depends what kind of state the plaster is in. I just was like, I was like looking at the floor plan and thinking, oh, we're kind of, especially if we're insulating from the outside and doing that stucco approach, maybe we could save some of the plaster. I mean, the basic thing is they cut this little hole in between each stud. So it is a lot of little cutting and patching work. And then you blow in the cellulose into the wall.
I do have an insulation crew that I could have come out to give us an estimate and tell you what's entailed too, Paul.
Okay.
If you want, but I'll just tell you, cutting through those walls is really a pain. And if you're cutting lots of holes, you might as well just remove it. It just depends on what you're doing, but not necessarily a bad idea, because I've done both ways in rehabs. Like where you're flipping a house, you want to be as cheap as possible. Then we try to move as much as possible, but at some points you got to just remove it because it's more labor to get around it and leave it in there than it is to just
totally. I get that. It comes up a lot with builders and contractors when I work. I'm always thinking, let's just pop little holes here and there, and then I come in and they've ripped it all the way off because they know that they're saving on labor, and so I would totally take your
I'm not saying that's to don't do it. Don't do your idea. I'm just saying to consider.
And I have a quote for blowing in the cellulose from Ecotelligent, which is another company. They're nearby. I think they might be in Troy, but they've given a quote for blowing the cellulose just for punching in the holes. But I'm okay removing it, especially if we need it for duct work.
Yeah, what you just said is the key. Punching in a hole. They'll literally take a hammer and pop a hole, and they don't care what it looks like, and then the drywall crew has to fix it.
Every contractor knows their own part. Like the plumber doesn't care if he's cutting into a structural joist, and the electrician doesn't care if he's creating a mess on the drywall.
That's where my job comes in. I have to be very particular about that because I don't want somebody to get mad because then they don't want to work. And I don't want somebody to wreck something that we have to pay a bunch more money to fix it.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
I'm usually the guy that they call to come fix, and they had other contractors in there and they put holes in. Now the floor is sagging 3 inches and they don't know why. Because you cut holes through all the structural joists. So
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's one thought. Oh, I did want to say on the ventilation on using an ERV.
Yeah.
I can do kind of a basic level of like I can figure out the CFM we need of exhaust and supply, to have like a balanced system.
Perfect.
Just based on how many bathrooms and kitchens we have, like that's kind of a passive house thing I can do.
Okay.
But like if Mike has like a good mechanical contractor, often they can size the actual equipment, size the ducts. That's something usually they're pretty good at.
Yeah, having two or more estimates, I think we can't go wrong. I mean, even if we choose one or the other, or we come with some compromise, I think it's good to just sanity check ourselves.
Okay. Okay, so I don't have sketches of the second floor in the attic yet. Um, but I do, yeah, I do need to look into where I might put a washer dryer up in the second floor. It's kind of tight. And then the attic,
I
we
was
were kind of thinking that's one,
I
is it
was
kind of
thinking
like,
about moving that closet in the hallway somehow and building something. I don't know if that's possible. We had talked about that
you
for that.
could, it's kind of small now. I think it's only like 2 feet wide, maybe, but
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember. I was just had said, oh, maybe we could put a unit up here somewhere. I don't know. So
I'm sure there's a spot we could borrow from somebody's closet space to make it work. Uh, so
Yeah.
that's
And
that's
then
kind of where I'm at.
this is great. Thank you so much, Phil, for doing this. I know it's only been a week, and oh, also I think we mentioned that the closet we might have to knock out on the first floor to make room for a full height stairway.
yes.
Maybe I actually don't know how they line up, because now looking at these drawings, it looks like the staircase down to the basement is right underneath the staircase on the
Which
first floor, and I'm not sure.
The reason why there's a closet in the first floor, but you'd have to lose that closet that we had talked about.
Oh,
I'm okay losing the closet, especially if we're going to move the laundry machines, washer, dryer upstairs.
you're talking
Yeah,
about
that one,
this
one
one
that you
Okay.
Labeled WD. We can.
Yeah.
I think Mike pointed out that was where we would have to cut into the floor and
Oh, okay.
go down to the basement without people bumping their heads. And I think it will make a big difference in terms of like feeling
To
like
the
a
basement.
lived in space that you don't have to like turn your head to go down.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Well, plus two, you wanted me to move all that stuff downstairs, and the first thing I thought is, man, every time we got to walk up and down these stairs, I got to turn my head sideways, and I'm a short guy, so it's like, man, everybody else is going to be like hating life. So that's one of the concerns for me. Like, yeah, if you're living down there every day and walking up and down, if you're not shorter than me, it's going to not be good.
I think I get what you're saying now. So it's this stair. It's where you kind of have the head clearance thing at the bottom.
Yeah, to the basement. So we'd have to cut into the floor. And I think that actually, I think that's the bottom of the stairs. So I'd have to reframe that, but I'm pretty sure I could do it. When I looked at it, I said, yeah, this should be okay. Like they just framed it, not really caring about a basement at that point in time, when you could
Yeah,
have framed
right.
it differently. Because I don't know how much of that basement was planned on being used initially. Like when they built them, I think it was just a storage area, so it didn't matter. And then people started to decide to move down there and use them.
Yeah, I want to say this stair doesn't have, I want to say the risers are, I don't think we were going to use the existing basement stair anyway, but I think the existing
Yeah.
risers are a little too steep. So the stair might have to get even longer, which is even more of a head issue.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they were pretty tall. You're supposed to have, they're supposed to be like I just say it's like a 12 by 7. Your rise and run.
uh-huh.
I think it's got to be like 7 1/4, like 7 1/4 is the tallest. So, and 12 inches is probably a good depth. For a foot to get on. Anything shorter, like 10 inches is like code or whatever, but anything shorter kind
Yeah.
of stinks. So
Yeah.
we can play with it a little bit and see what the best is, and then adjust the head space too at that point after we figure it out.
Okay. And then, yeah, so I've got a model going too, so I could cut a little section through there and we could try a few different things, see what works.
Okay.
And I know, Phil, you sent a sample woofy model, like the energy
Oh,
model.
yeah.
I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I'm going to send that to Mike also. But that's what you're working on now too, right? That'll tell us.
Yeah.
What will that tell us? Like the windows that we need to buy, or can you say more about that?
Yeah, maybe I could, I know we're kind of running out of time. Maybe I could share that real quick.
Yeah, I'm available, but I want to respect your time and Mike's time.
Yeah,
I know.
are you okay for a few more minutes, Mike? Are you?
Yeah, I'm just painting, so I'm almost done with this window. Then I got to go out and paint the deck with it.
Okay.
So
So you've been
handicap ramp.
working the whole time. That's good.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
okay.
I'm just stopping and looking. Deadlines,
Okay.
man, deadlines.
Yeah, I know.
They're useful. Yeah.
Let me see if I can.
Yeah.
Find
Feel
this.
free to give me deadlines too. Yeah, I work better. I'm glad this meeting happened today. So
Yeah, this is good.
Let me see what I can find here. Geez, okay. Actually, this gets me thinking, this particular energy model, because I did this for, it almost sounded a little bit like the project you were talking about, Mike. It was, here, let me share it. It was,
Yeah, we're still looking at the house sketches, but if you mean to switch it
yeah.
over.
Do that. Oops, maybe I'm almost out of time. Let's see. Here we go.
It's a pretty nice model you're sharing.
Oh, you can see it.
Oh, I can see you. You're the model.
No, I can't see it yet.
Yeah, my computer's.
It's a different kind of energy modeling.
I was just saying model in general.
Yeah.
You know what? I think I'm out of time in my particular Zoom room here. So
Oh, are you exceeding your time limit?
yeah, 10
Okay.
o'clock.
If there are other people waiting, we can do this next week too. Does next Thursday
Yeah, that's fine.
morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. And Mike, you can continue multitasking and being a badass painting and talking to us at the same time. So
Perfect. Well, hopefully I won't be painting because that'd be a long time to get this done.
oh, different paint job maybe. So
Yeah, well, maybe I'll be doing carpentry.
okay, well, I'll look at the sample that you sent. I'll forward it
Yeah,
on.
let me know if you think about it, or we can look at it next week too. But I can start in the meantime. But yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, good
Okay.
checking in with you guys. This is really helpful.
Yeah, I like this. Get like kind of like a standing Zoom. We can kind of catch up.
Okay, I'm gonna drop by the Detroit house, make sure it can open because I know the smart lock there's an issue, and so that Mike can get in if you need it for quotes, and then also
Yes.
Mark, the carpenter, will be finishing hanging the microwave this weekend, and the bridge cabinet and the cooking duct in the kitchen, and then I'll also send out some tile choices that I could use some feedback on. And Mike, are you free this weekend to? It's okay if not, because I know Mark, so you can just show me pictures of what he's done. But I think he might need help with the duct. Like it didn't sound like he had done it before, where you find the right adapter pieces.
Oh yeah.
But
So,
we can talk about that individually.
I can definitely do like a FaceTime or a Zoom if I can't make it. Just gotta let me know what time and let me see what my schedule looks like.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I'll end it now. Thanks everyone, and let's stay in touch on the group text, and we'll see each other. I'll send a proper Zoom invite for next Thursday.
All right, very well. Thank you. Nice seeing you guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too.